Mrs. Fox, and I'm a trained psychic. I was trained as a child, used as a psychic spy. Not my favorite experience, but all of that I learned under difficult conditions positions me to be able to give you information that perhaps nobody else can give you. I am a shaman on the physical dimension, even though I don't wear the white robes, etc., the long hair. I don't try to look like Jesus Christ. But I'm also a galactic shaman, which means that I've kind of learned some of the rules of what you need to kind of know having to do with off planet. And especially now that off planet is now flooding into our planet, um, this information might be very useful. This is the week of June the 10th to the 16th, 2024. The energies of the week are going to be very chaotic. But as I was preparing to do this particular um, chat, the information that I got made me very happy. We have completed an ascension process, but ascension is like a ladder. You're at the lowest rung, and then you go up another step and another step. We went up 2 or 3 steps in the last, I would say, 6 or 8 weeks, um, pushed by world events, things that we need to get away from, or things that are in vibration, basically helps to repel what it is that we don't want if we are conscious of what we want. What did I discover this week? And then let's apply it to the 12 astrological signs. You are going to be supported in your intentions more than ever. The problem is, what are your intentions? And I'm going to go back to the example I use all the time. If you want to be prosperous, yet your father went bankrupt when you were between 14 and 17 years of age, chances are you're going to repeat that because apparently that's an age at which patterns are concreted into your mind. Your mind creates reality. And it doesn't matter what you want or how much you struggle, that pattern that you lived between 14 and 17, when it was maybe your father that went bankrupt or lost everything, whatever, will repeat. Okay, that's not the point I want to make. The point I want to make is you went through such a difficult time at that time that you determined you never wanted that to happen to you. So you put in place, built in, bottom line, structure, foundation, and intention to never go bankrupt or not have enough money. Why would that be not such a good thing now from here forward, in which the laws are changing and in which our intentions are more vitalized? Well, you created an intention to never not have money, which creates another intention of not taking risks with your money, which means that if you were offered something fabulous, you might turn it down. You wanted that new job, you wanted that additional money, you wanted that, but your built in subconscious intention, your reaction to when between 14 and 17 things did not go well economically, your reaction of, I don't ever want to go through this, may make you turn down something wonderful, subconsciously sabotage being able to get a new job, a new position, because who knows what's going to happen? Maybe it won't last, at which time you get left out in the cold. So it's very important that you vitalize your intentions, you be really clear about your intentions from here forward with this ascension process, and that you ferret out those subconscious intentions that are a reaction to traumas that you lived. I pointed out prosperity. It's not just prosperity, it's basically everything. It's the reason why a lot of females are not paired off, even though they say they want to be. They have a subconscious intention not to be controlled by a mate. Maybe their father was too controlling. So they think that they want to be paired off and have a mate and get married, etc. But underneath that is a stronger intention. You need to get this figured out, because you could be wasting your time trying to vitalize an intention in you, something you want, and you don't need an outside factor to block you. You have your own internal saboteur that wants to ensure that you're safe and secure, no creativity, no coloring outside the box, no taking chances, and that sabotages your intentions. So you need to become very familiar with your personal history. You can't walk away from it. You carry it with you. That's why I say that our auras are like a garbage bag, and we carry with us spirits, traumas, emotions, images, lots of images. Okay, let's go ahead and start, and let's see what this week may hold for you through the lens of what maybe you need to deal with to ensure that you do get your intentions, because your subconscious intentions will also be powerfully vitalized, and you may not even know that you're the one that actually wants that marriage to end, that job to go, or you are the one that don't want to get that new job, but subconsciously that will be vitalized also. Okay, we're going to start with Aries, which is a male sign and a fire sign, which makes Aries life difficult in end times because there's an excess of the fire element. Okay, Aries, I think that your subconscious carries a lot of insecurity having to do with money. It's almost like when it comes to money and long term financial stability, it's like you're like a little kid and you're like a little bit nervous because who knows who's going to decide what. So I suspect that when you were young, there were people making decisions and maybe some of them did not turn out so well. Nobody's fault. There could have been a political turmoil in your country. It doesn't really matter. You're still carrying that nervousness, and it's stimulated every time you have to deal with something that has to do with money, economic security, etc. So let's go ahead and give you a mantra um, that will help you to purify that those subconscious memories that are going to sabotage attention to be economically stable or to be even better economically. And the mantra is, and you repeat them in silence: please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my prosperity traumas. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my prosperity traumas. And you may think, well, I don't have any prosperity traumas that I can remember. The big traumas we don't remember. We put them away actually in our bodies. Sometimes they convert into disease later on because they're so encapsulated and there's no oxygen, etc. So try the mantra. No, do the mantra. And you're going to start kicking up the dust in the bottom part of your system, root chakra, and even in the lower chakras that are connected to the underworld, so that all the stuff that could block you from achieving your intention of doing really well financially, so that they get kicked up and purified out. Okay? Let's go ahead and continue with the next sign, which is Taurus, which is a female sign and it's a water sign. Taurus, what do you need to know in relation to your subconscious intentions that will also be vitalized? And there's a reason why they're subconscious, because they're painful. You don't want to remember them. You just want to kind of get away from them. Taurus, your big issue is fear. And what I see is you just standing as if in shock and witnessing things that are happening around you when you were a child between 7 and 8 years of age. You may have to go back to family members and ask what happened in the family at that time if you don't remember. Those memories are stopping you because every time things get a little shaky, a little bit iffy, those memories come up because of the law of attraction. You're in a situation that's kind of similar, you don't even remember. So the memory comes up and it ends up blocking your intention in that particular situation. Because when faced with that when you were young, between 7 and 8, it did not end well. So your fear gets kicked up, and basically, Taurus says you can be blinded by your fears. So, what would your mantra be so that you can make sure that those subconscious hidden intentions are not vitalized? You don't want them vitalized, you want them purified. So, your mantra: please, God, help us with our intention. God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my fears from 7 to 8 years of age. Once you do it several times, you can drop the words from 7 to 8 years of age, because your subconscious and God will know that those are the particular fears you're trying to address. Something happened to you. What's the issue? We found out that we are like little programs, and we have implants like Matrix tried to tell us about, but we have many, dozens of them, different parts of our body, hoses that come into us and fill us up with a sewage with negative information. So it's important to start to reclaim the territory of who we are individually. So we have these outside forces, but then we can say we don't need enemies because we are our worst enemies. And usually it has to do with repressed memories from traumas. As a master told me many years ago, human memory is terrible for human evolution because we remember, like the Great Flood. Oh, it's going to happen again. Catastrophes. That's it. It's going to take over the planet. And we can't get past it. Therefore, we're going to repeat it. So, Taurus, between 7 and 8, not good. Lots of fear, concreted in, and they're going to get energized because that is what this particular step in the ascension process has done. It is putting us in a place where our intentions are more vitalized. But that includes the intentions that we don't even want to remember. So get that done, Taurus. Your life will be easy. I am also going to suggest a homeopathy that's called Trameal for everybody. It's the number one sports remedy for injuries, for sports injuries, because it takes care of the memory part. So I'm going to suggest that actually for everybody, but particularly for Tauruses. Let's continue. Gemini is the next sign, and it is a male sign, and it's an air sign. Gemini, what do you need to know about your subconscious intentions that could be vitalized, but that you wouldn't want them vitalized if you actually knew that you had them? Gemini, you're actually more afraid than you appear, and you speak with a lot of confidence, and you speak about a lot of different things, and you're very knowledgeable, and people just kind of generally respect you when you speak. But when you were between 12 and 13, you either said something, gave a speech, made a declaration, informed somebody about something, and you were told that that was totally wrong and that they didn't say you were dumb as a rock, but basically they said, what's the matter with you that you would even say that? What's the matter? And that left a big impression on you of never wanting to feel that stupid again. So you have a subconscious intention of holding back because somebody may call you out on this, and maybe it's wrong, and at which time basically your entire reputation, your life, your desire to live gets trashed. So what should you do about this? You need to draw up that memory between 12 and 13 years of age, and you need to purify it. And with this mantra, chances are you might remember that incident, that moment in which you went, oh my God, I said this, and now everyone thinks that I'm going to use the word stupid. which for Gemini would be like, well, what? No, I'm not stupid. I mean, I'm everything else, but not that. So please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify uh, my trauma, feeling stupid. And that should bring up what happened between 12 and 13, or it will simply bring up the issue and purify it. And it's going to make a big difference because I think there's some things that you want to say and put out there, but you're terrified of people coming and saying, well, that's not accurate. It's entirely possible that something you put out is not 100% accurate. You, so don't be afraid of not being perfect and making some mistakes. This mantra will help you unleash this flow of information that you're holding back because you're not feeling that you might be totally supported on it. And yet it's important that you release that information. That's your mantra, always repeat it in silence. Other than that, you can go for a hypnosis session, for a regression session to go back to 12 and 13. For that, you need an appointment, you need to pay money. The mantra will take care of it, maybe even better than these other alternatives. That's why we suggest it. Time and cost efficient way of dealing with childhood traumas that create patterns in us and block us in what we truly intend. No, not truly intend, in what we think we intend when there's actually a deeper intention that's overriding it. Such as, I don't think I'm going to say that because maybe somebody's going to think it's stupid. Continuing on, we're going to Cancer now, which is a female sign and it's a water sign. Cancer, what do you need to know about your subconscious intentions and the fact that they're getting vitalized together with your conscious intentions? What subconscious intention right now do you really need to deprogram, diffuse, eliminate, purify right now, this week of the 10th to the 16th of June, 2024? Cancer. You have this incredible fear of loss of life, but not loss of your life. You have this fear of being responsible for somebody losing their life. Now, I don't know how that could, I know how that plays out in my life because of the type of life that I led, always involved in wars and battles and fighting and horrible things. But all the rest of you, not sure, but I don't need to know. What you need to know is that you have that fear deep inside of you, and it makes you hesitate, having to do with gaining ultimate responsibility, being in a very high level position, being listened to by hundreds, thousands, or millions of people. You are afraid you might cost somebody their life. So, what do? Let's give you the mantra to bring up that memory. What was it that happened? Did you go on bicycling with a friend or a sister, and maybe you were older, and maybe when you were bicycling, the person that you were with, the kid that you were with, almost got run over, and somebody said, oh my God, she could have died. Why did you go in that direction and not the other one? Something as simple as that. But as a Cancer, not wanting to cause harm to anyone, to cause somebody to lose their life would be like the ultimate. So something happened, and that mantra uh, is going to clear it up so that you won't be afraid of having ultimate responsibilities, having to do with family, but also having to do with work, with prosperity. Or if you're in social media, having to do with hundreds of thousands of people following you. Are you afraid of that responsibility? Because maybe somebody, I'm a Cancer, I can tell you that I am. Makes sense. What's your mantra? Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my fear of being responsible for someone's death. And just keep going until you don't have any more energy to say those words, which means that you're finished. You may or may not remember the incident because it was an incident. And I think it was also between 7 and 8 years of age. Don't know for sure. And again, we have discovered by doing these horoscopes psychically because I'm not an astrologer. The same way I'm not a doctor and I can help you with disease, and I didn't go to business school and I can and do help people with their companies and projects, etc. Um, Lost my train of thought. So sorry. So, Cancer, you have this ultimate fear that stops you from being number one. So, you have an intention to be number one at something or to be much higher up. Then you have a subconscious intention not to be responsible, not to have the ultimate responsibility. And I think too many times the subconscious intention is not allowing you to achieve the level that you want to achieve. Please repeat the mantra. It's repeated in silence. Let's continue with the next sign, which is Leo. Leo is a fire sign and a male sign. Leo, what is it that you need to know about some funky subconscious intention that you have that's blocking you from achieving more powerful intentions that you are aware of? Again, we're in the ascension process. We've come up a couple of steps of the ladder of ascension. Now our intentions are more vitalized. Unfortunately, our sabotaging subconscious intentions are also more vitalized. So we need to ferret them out. Leo, for you, what is it? Humiliation. Leo, you can't stand to be humiliated. You're proud. You want to do things that make people proud of you. Um, and you want to feel like you should be proud of yourself. So your subconscious intention, when you were 14 years of age, you were publicly humiliated. It feels like a classroom session, a setting. It could be another public forum of some type, but you were humiliated. And it basically stopped you in your tracks. Subconsciously and maybe even consciously, you prefer not to have the number one position in the company. You prefer not to be the number one person in the class that raises their hand and always gets it right. You prefer not to be top dog in anything because that comes with the responsibility, and you do not want to be humiliated. And that has stopped you from achieving a lot of your goals. So, your mantra, please God help me with my intention to miraculously purify my humiliation issues. And that's a big one for Leo. It's going to be very powerful for you. I think within about 10 days, you're going to be finished with that. And you're going to be able to have an intention to be all that you can be, which is usually really good, and not have this nagging worry that somebody's going to humiliate you because you forgot to put a comma in the sentence, or you didn't do a particular thing, or a particular statement you made was not 100% correct. People make mistakes all the time, Leo. But for you, sometimes it feels too much like the end of the world. So this particular mantra and this information is going to make a huge difference in your comfort level every minute of every day. It's a big theme for you, humiliation, Leo. I'm glad to be able to help you out with that. So let's go ahead and continue with Virgo, which is an earth sign and a female sign. Virgo. What do you need to know that you might have lurking in your subconscious as an intention that is going to get vitalized? Because our intention is more quickly creating reality now than in any other time in human history. Before, it might take you several incarnations to get something, not today. Okay, so Virgo, what do you need to know? Virgo, I think that when you were young, being it that you're a perfectionist, okay, I think that you saw an adult male, probably father figure, and with responsibilities, and you felt a little bit of shame at how they handled it. In other words, maybe something like your father had a job from 8 to 5. And every once in a while, your father would say, I am too tired. You know what? I'm calling in sick today. I'm not sick, but I'm calling in sick because I just, you know what? I really don't feel like going to work and I'm tired. I'm just going to take a day off. And you, as a Virgo, because he had a job from 8 to 5, how could he not go to work? He wasn't even sick. In other words, for you, it was like stabbing you in the heart. If you're responsible for something, you're supposed to do it, not taking into consideration that maybe that adult male that you were listening to actually needed some time off in order not to get sick. That wasn't what was important to you. What was important to you is that they were supposed to go to work every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and they played a game and lied to not go to work. And that rigidity of you have to do things the way you're supposed to do them, and it doesn't matter the circumstances, is blocking you because there's several things actually that you want, but you're not 100% sure that you can actually 100% do everything you're supposed to do in that particular position, field, project. Because you look at everything and you see all the places where maybe you won't be able to show up every single time, or you're not going to be able to finish it within the 18 days or something. Totally rigid, Virgo. You're totally rigid having to do with responsibilities. You don't want something. You do not want something unless you know that you can absolutely do it right and on time, that not every single thing is correct. It's not possible because there is no perfection. Therefore, Virgo, you have a hard time signing up for anything, or being willing to take more responsibility, which might mean more money or more power. You're not willing because maybe you get something wrong. You're going to get something wrong. People in power know that. You make mistakes all the time. You fall down, you get up, you correct the mistake, and you keep going. Not you, Virgo. It's too painful. So you need to deprogram. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my need to do everything perfectly. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my need to do everything perfectly. You wanted that adult male to be perfect and to go to work, even though he felt like he might get sick, but he wasn't sick. That didn't work for you. It needs to work for you. You need to learn to be flexible. This mantra is going to make a big difference. Remember, you repeat the words in silence. The next sign, which is Libra, which is an air sign and a male sign. Libra, what do you need to know? What could you have lurking in your subconscious that could really rear its ugly head and you end up vitalizing something that is blocking the intentions that you're in contact with and that really want? Okay, so Libra, what would be lurking in your subconscious? Here we go again. Very interesting. About needing to do things right. You have this subconscious need to always do things right, especially in the eyes of other people. So when somebody says, hey, can we do this? Rather than, oh, yeah, I think I might enjoy that, you stop and you think, am I going to be able to do it right? The whole thing with doing it right is a big problem for you, Libra. This is not right. Actually, that's the human condition. Most of the things that we do, part of it is not right. Because if somebody had gotten it right, then nobody else needs to do it because they got it right. And you can't deal with that. Um, I'm not sure that I can pinpoint any particular age or time in which that was set in concrete. It may be enfolded in the whole thing with being a Libra. So, what is your mantra? Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify my need to do things right. It kills you to think that people could look at something that you did and think, oh, you didn't do that right. That could have been done better, different. It kills you. So it's also a self esteem issue. So the mantras are repeated in silence, and we're going to continue on with Scorpio, which is a female sign and a water sign. Scorpio, what could be lurking in your subconscious? Okay, Scorpio, you're a lot more sensitive than people know. Certainly a lot more sensitive than I was aware of. We see Scorpios as so strong and kind of able to kind of get through anything and still stay standing up and awake and aware. I actually see you hiding in a closet, and I see a male figure coming and saying, "What are you doing in there?" And you say, "Oh, I'm just looking for something." And you're kind of fiddling with the shoes and on the floor of the closet, but you're not really fiddling with the shoes. You're not looking for anything. You're terrorized. And you're very young. I would say between 3 and 4. So the what I'm getting is between 3 and 4, you were around in a home situation in which there was total chaos. I don't know if somebody kind of lost it and was throwing things up against the wall, or somebody was yelling like a maniac. But at that age, that day, that time, that moment, you felt very vulnerable and very frightened. And that got concreted in to your subconscious. When that person came to the closet to pull you out, and it could have been underneath the bed behind a door, if you had said, I'm really very frightened, and that person had picked you up and said, oh, it's okay, don't worry, we're just yelling and screaming, nothing bad's going to happen. But you didn't say that. You pretended you were looking for something. You never got any relief. You just swallowed your fear, held it in. And that fear gets kicked up anytime you see people around you getting rattled, getting upset, getting ready to argue. You don't show it, but it really, really. And when you get like a boss, you're terrified of them becoming angry at you because you don't know how much they're going to lose it. So your mantra, give me a second to think about this one. Um, Please, God, help me with my intention to purify my fear of angry authority figures. That's what it is. It's the people that were in your home. It feels like your home that were arguing would have been authority figures in your life, your parents, some other adults, or a much older brother or sister. So that's your mantra. You repeat it in silence. And I am sure that you will not identify with this, but it's there. Deprogram it, and it's going to be much easier to deal with hierarchy, authority, institutions, corporations, military, everything, because this subconscious intention puts you in obey mode. Obey, follow instructions rather than creative mode. And generally, the higher positions in organizations, the people that achieve those positions, it's not because they obey robotically. They also have some thought process, some creativity they bring to the table, their ability to see situations and suggest that maybe we should do it differently, which you would not dare to suggest if you're so frightened of authority. Let's go ahead and continue on to the next sign, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a male sign, and it's a fire sign. Sagittarius have not had it easy, and they have been not physically so healthy. I'm not talking anything major. Maybe they do have something major, but in terms of generically, um, Sagittarius, what do you need to know? What could you have in your subconscious that is blocking you, because those subconscious intentions are getting really vitalized now? In other words, the underworld is now mixing with our regular world, which is what the Mayans said was going to happen. So, Sagittarius, what is it? What subconscious intention might you have? Okay. When you were young, I think Sagittariuses are really bright and they have a wide lens vision. When you were young, you were with your family and you could see things and you had the solution. You knew what was going on, you knew what needed to change so that things could improve. Uh, I'm not sure, but somebody said, who the hell do you think you are? You're just a kid. You shouldn't have even been listening to the conversation, much less offering an opinion. So, Sagittarius, you learned to hold back. So, when you want something, or when you're in a group, let's say you're in a group and you just make a decision, and everybody's talking in order to make an ultimate decision for the group, you wouldn't say a lot of the things that you could see that would be a great contribution because of what happened when you were young. So, your mantra, which you repeat in silence, there are other ways to clear traumas. The mantras are the most simple, cost free, time efficient, um, an incredible tool. Mantras liberate the mind by definition, not my definition, by definition. Your mind creates your reality. So let's go ahead and clear this particular subconscious intention, which is blocking you in a lot of intentions. You hold back when you should be contributing because of this trauma when you were young. Please, God, help me with my intention to purify, to miraculously purify my fear. I'm going to say it, my fear of contributing my genius. In other words, I think you might be genius level, Sagittarius, having to do with assessment of the dynamics of situations. But because somebody challenged you when you were young and made you feel bad and maybe a little frightened, you don't contribute. And that is bottled up inside of you. So if you got a position, if you wanted a position of power because it's more money and you think you have something to contribute, you would sabotage yourself so that you don't get that position of power because you're afraid of being responsible, because you were denied the fact that you're genius in dynamics in terms of human relations or organizations. So, please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously. Oh, I just gave you the mantra. I think somebody's interfering here because my mind keeps moving this way. We have a lot of political things happening in arenas that I have used to have too much contact with. So the people involved that are in my world, the bad guys, are very active now and very much using alternative technologies to keep certain people down. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. We are going to go next to Capricorn. Capricorn is a female sign and it's an earth sign. So, Capricorn, what is in your subconscious? Capricorn, you're very about family. So, what is in your subconscious that blocks you today? That takes up so much of your energy to repress this trauma, which creates subconscious intentions that basically you've held yourself back since day one. You are afraid of family members being harmed. That makes sense. It's a big thing for Capricorns. So we're going to go back to your age, from 7 to 8. You heard somebody yelling, and I think it's a male figure, that if something didn't change, they were going to kill somebody. it could have been said in different words. Like, I'm so angry about that, I could kill. And it turned out that, something broke at home and maybe one of the kids broke it. It was just kind of like words. I mean, it could have been worse, but it could just words, or like an angry reaction by a powerful, or what you viewed as a powerful adult male. And that has created an incredibly intense subconscious intention to not rock the boat, because somebody that you love can get hurt. So your mantra would be, repeating in silence, please God help me with my intention to miraculously purify my fear of someone being hurt. That someone will generally be a family member, but it could be somebody you married, or a relative of somebody you married, somebody that you love and that you care for, that you would take care of. That's your fear. You're going to be able to relax a lot more when you finish with that. It's going to take you a couple of weeks, and you do it throughout the day. And whenever you can, you get yourself a rosary. The Buddhist one has 107 beads. The Catholic one has 50. And you just keep going and keep going. You go to sleep at night, repeating the mantra in silence. You don't move the mouth with the words. You expel the breath through your mouth. And we continue. We're doing the horoscopes from the 10th to the 16th of June 2024, because we are already further up the ladder of ascension. There is more vitalization, more energy behind our intentions. Unfortunately, we all have subconscious intentions we don't remember, that many times we sabotage our conscious intentions. Okay? Oh, I want this position. I'm afraid of being responsible. I want this public post. I'm afraid of being humiliated. Things like that. So we've identified them in everybody except for Aquarius and Pisces. So we're going to go there now. Okay. Aquarius is a male sign and it's an air sign. So what subconscious intention do you think do I see that you have, Aquarius, that could block you from achieving other important intentions that you have that you're aware of? Aquarius, I think that you have always had a very wide lens on life. You could see things that other people couldn't see. Aquarius is a mind sign, air sign, which is mind, and it is of the three, Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, the most evolved. They know a lot, mind signs, and Aquarius in particular. But when you were young, you could see stuff, and you understood, and you could see, but with a wider lens. So too many times you said, oh yes, but this, and people said to you, what are you talking about? Like, almost as if looking at you as if you were dumb. But you were just seeing something outside of their field of vision because their lens was very limited. All the air signs are very psychic. So it was too many times that you were pointed out as being dumb, not understanding, like, what's the matter with you, that you ended up afraid of speaking what you saw. So as an adult, then you developed a subconscious intention to hold back, because maybe you're wrong. I mean, if all these people aren't getting it, then you're probably the one who's wrong. In other words, contrary to what you look like, where you're so secure in your knowledge because you can see so much, inside of you, there's a subconscious intention not to appear dumb, because too many times the people, when you offered extra information, they didn't get it and they pointed you out as being the problem. So it was confusing. So you're confusing about your ability to see, your expanded ability to see. So your mantra would be, please God help me with my intention to miraculously purify my confusion about how much I know. You're confused about how much you know. You know a lot. But when you were young, when the traumas really get set in concrete, too many people said you were wrong. You didn't know. Why would you say that? It's going to make a nice difference, because I think that when you think about it, you're going to find that many times a day, you look at something and you go, oh, yeah, I get it. But then there's this little voice that says, yeah, but nobody else saw that, so maybe I'm wrong. You do that all the time, and it's very exhausting for you. You're not aware of it. I think you're going to become aware of it now. And you hold back and you get insecure and you get anxious because you did see right. Maybe you didn't because other people don't see it. And that is the problem with being able to see more than other people. Believe me, I'm familiar and I'm not an Aquarius. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the last sign, which is Pisces. Pisces is the most evolved of all the signs. They come into this incarnation. They don't want to see anything. They don't want to hear anything. They can't take it. They saw too much injustices, too much unfairness, too many horrible things in all the incarnations. Pisces are very sensitive and they're all about other people. But they get into this incarnation, they can't. They can't take anymore. They just can't take anymore. So they hide in a box. So, Pisces, what could you have in your subconscious that is blocking you from achieving your conscious intentions? Um, Oh, Pisces. Pisces, you're very community. You're very Age of Aquarius community. And you know that when there's hierarchy, you know this instinctively, that means there's people at the top and people at the bottom and people in the middle. You don't like it that there's people in the middle and at the bottom. You want everybody to be at the top, but everybody can't be at the top if there's hierarchy. They can be if there's community, which is what you would absolutely live if you could be in contact with that part of you. So to get to the top for you is very uncomfortable. To be above other people, you might think it's great, but it's really, really uncomfortable for you because of that. So what and that need for everything to be community in a world that's still based on hierarchy is a big problem, a very big problem, because you won't allow yourself to go to the top because you don't like it, because that means there's people underneath you, and that's not the way it's supposed to be ideally. You're right, but we don't live in that world quite yet. So what should your mantra be? Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously work gracefully, to miraculously work well within hierarchy. Sounds convoluted. Or, please God, help me with my intention to miraculously accept hierarchy. Try one or the other. Neither of them feel comfortable, but one of the two of them or both of them, but don't do them together. Just choose one and do it. It's going to make a big difference. It's going to make a huge difference. Pisces are very aware. They're very evolved. They're very psychic. They're all about community, which is where we're going into, but we're still mainly into hierarchy. So we need people like Pisces, but they don't like to be on top of anybody, but we need them on top. Many of them, we need them there. So Pisces, get over it. Do the mantra. Okay? So that you can, your conscious intention to get that job where you have more responsibility, more power, more money, whatever, so that you can get it and not sabotage yourself. Okay? So those are the horoscopes seen through the lens of the new energies now that we have gone up a couple of steps of the ladder of ascension. All our intentions are more vitalized, more energized by the energies and by ourselves. And our subconscious intentions are coming up to block us or to be reviewed and then deprogrammed. If they're subconscious, is because there's something about it that we're not happy with, usually associated with the trauma. So even though we have ascended, there's still, for all of us, certain arenas in which we still have work that we need to do. to be able to benefit from this new energy. The ascension process does not walk you away from or pull you up from your personal problems, your personal traumas. Those are within your mind and they come with you. And so that's why it would be good for you to hopefully identify with what it is I have said and do the mantra. You may have other techniques for healing childhood traumas. If none, to my knowledge, after witnessing for 20 years, is more efficient time wise or cost wise um, than a mantra, than the appropriately worded mantra. So try it. And I'm going to check the comments here to see if there's anything I should respond to. Okay. Okay. There we go. Nope, nothing that I need to respond to here. You should listen to all the horoscopes because let's say that you're raising children still and you haven't hit the ages that I indicated where several of the traumas were. Once you hit that age, you will know, oh, 7 and 8, 14 to 17, prosperity. Oh, darn, I lost my job. Okay, so I need to work to make sure that my children don't hold on to the trauma of this transition between the loss of the job and loss of the home potentially and where we're going next, which obviously we're going to work on making it better. So, and knowing what your boss is in terms of astrological and what they might be going through, not so much the horoscopes this week, but most of the other weeks helps a lot. Knowing your kids, what they would be going through. Why ask for a raise with the boss who's going through living hell because of something having to do with his astrological sign that particular week or that particular month? Wait, that's why many people check their astrology before making major decisions. I had a radio show, not in Apple, not in Spotify, actually on the radio. Yes, it was an AM station. It was very good. I had a great producer and a great person who was at the board with the music, etc. And we got compliments and we were told that we needed to syndicate it. It was great. We had a lot of problems. And an astrologer that I interviewed said, such a shame that you started this radio show now. You're going to have a hard time. I'm not sure it's going to go anyplace. And I was, of course, deeply offended because it was such a good show. I mean, other radio stations were calling, the producer and saying, God, you're producing a great show. We didn't get any place. We just had problems after problems because we didn't have planetary support. Like a lot of what's happening today on the planet has to do with the other planets. It's part of the astrology of the planet. I wasn't trained in astrology. So it's not that I have a commitment to astrology. I have a commitment to influences on your development and your evolution, which is what my horoscopes are all about. Your personal evolution. I want you up that ascension ladder as quickly as possible because the bad stuff is at the bottom. Quicker you go up, the more bad stuff you leave behind. Unfortunately, we do drag up with us our biggest problems, which is the reason for my angle for the horoscopes of this week. Anyway, I'm Frances Fox, and I do a chat every Monday through Friday at 7 on all my social media platforms. And I hope you tune in. And thank you for joining me.